Hello, my name is William, and I'm 87 years old. Right now, as I'm speaking to you, I'm 4 hours into an 8-hour shift at a grocery store, stocking shelves. My knees are aching, my back is stiff. And I'm doing this not because I want to stay active or because I enjoy the work, but because I have to. Because at 87 years old, I cannot afford to retire. And that's something I never ever thought I'd be saying. I want to tell you my story today because if even one person listening to this makes a different choice than I did, then maybe some good can come from the mistakes I've spent the last decade paying for. This isn't about blame or regret, though I have plenty of both. This is about the reality that nobody wants to talk about. What happens when you don't save for retirement, and suddenly retirement arrives anyway? I worked for 60 years. Let me say that again. 60 years. I started working when I was 17, right out of high school. I got a job at a manufacturing plant, worked my way up, had good union benefits, decent pay. I married my wife Betty when I was 24, and we built what we thought was a solid middle-class life. We owned our home. We raised 2 kids. We had health insurance, a pension plan, the whole package. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable. We were living the American dream, or so we thought. But here's the thing, nobody tells you when you're young and working and life is good. Comfortable isn't the same as secure. Comfortable means you can pay your bills and maybe take a modest vacation once a year and not worry too much about money day to day. Secure means you've prepared for the future. And I was comfortable for decades without ever being secure. I remember being 37 years old, sitting at our kitchen table with Betty, looking at our budget. Our son had just started middle school, our daughter was in elementary school, and we were doing okay. We talked about starting to save for retirement. I remember saying we should put away maybe $50 a month. Just $50. That was back in 1975. Do you know what $50 a month invested from 1,975 until I turned 67 would have grown to? Over $200,000. Maybe more, depending on returns. That's not a fortune, but it would have changed everything about my life right now. But we didn't do it. There was always something else. The kids needed things. The car needed repairs. The house needed a new roof in 1992. Our son got a DUI in 1989 and we paid his legal fees. The car broke down in 1997. There were weddings to help pay for, grandkids' birthdays. 100 other things that seemed more immediate, more pressing, more important than something as distant and abstract as retirement. I kept telling myself I'd start saving next year. When I got my next raise, when the kids were out of college, when the house was paid off. There was always a reason to wait, always something that needed the money more urgently. And the years just kept passing. My wife, Betty, she tried to talk to me about it sometimes. She'd say, "Bill, we need to start putting something away." But I was the one who handled the finances, and I always had an answer. The pension would take care of us. Social Security would help. We owned our house outright. We'd be fine. I was certain we'd be fine. And then I turned 67. The age you're supposed to retire, start enjoying life, reap the rewards of all those years of hard work. And I did retire for about 3 years. We lived on my pension and Social Security, and it was tight. But we managed. We had to budget carefully. Couldn't do much, but we were getting by. Then Stan, my wife's name was actually Stan, short for Stanley. I apologize, I'm getting confused. Let me start that part over. My wife Betty passed away in 2014 after a short illness. She was 76. And suddenly I was alone, grieving, and dealing with funeral expenses I hadn't planned for. But worse than that, I discovered something about my pension that I'd never fully understood. Most of it didn't transfer to a survivor benefit. I'd been getting about $1,800 a month from my pension. After Betty died, I got $847, less than half. My Social Security is $1,100 a month. So my total income became less than $2,000 a month. My rent, because I had to sell the house to cover Betty's medical bills and funeral costs, is $950 a month. That leaves me with barely $1,000 for everything else. Food, utilities, medications, insurance, transportation, everything. I tried to make it work for about 2 years. I cut back on everything. I ate cheap food. I stopped driving much. I kept the heat low in winter, but it wasn't sustainable. I was slowly going into debt, and I could see where that road ended. So, at 79 years old, I got a job at a grocery store stocking shelves. That was 8 years ago. I'm still doing it, 22 hours a week at $14.50 an hour. After taxes, that's maybe $1,100 a month extra. It makes the difference between slowly drowning and barely keeping my head above water. Let me tell you what it's like to work at 87. I've had both knees replaced. The surgeries were in 2018 and 2019. And while they helped, my knees still hurt after standing for hours. My back aches. I get tired in a way I never did when I was younger. Sometimes I have to sit down in the stockroom and rest for a few minutes. My co-workers are kind, but some of them are young enough to be my great-grandchildren. They move fast, lift heavy things easily, work circles around me. And I see them looking at me sometimes, and I know what they're thinking. Why is this old man still working? Because I have to. That's why. The hardest part isn't the physical pain, though that's real. The hardest part is knowing that this was preventable. That if I had made different choices, if I had understood what I understand now, I could be spending my days differently. I could be visiting my grandchildren more. I could be pursuing hobbies. I could be resting, really resting, for the first time in my life. Instead, I'm stocking shelves and counting pennies and hoping I stay healthy enough to keep working because I have no alternative. I think about that $50 a month I didn't save starting at age 37. I think about all the money we spent on things that seemed important at the time. We spent $3,000 on braces for our daughter, $5,000 on our son's wedding, another $2,000 bailing him out of financial trouble in his 20s. Don't get me wrong, I love my kids. But looking back, I can see that we sacrificed our own security for their temporary convenience. The braces weren't medically necessary. We could have had a simpler wedding. Our son needed to learn to solve his own problems. And I think about all the years I assumed the pension would take care of everything. I never really looked at the details. I never understood that the survivor benefit would be so much less. I never calculated what Social Security would actually be. I just assumed it would work out. That's not planning. That's hoping. And hope is not a financial strategy. So let me tell you what I wish someone had told me when I was younger. What I wish I had understood before it was too late. First, start saving for retirement with your very first paycheck. I don't care if it's $10 a month. Start. The power of compound interest over decades is extraordinary, but only if you give it time to work. Every year, you delay cuts deeply into what you'll have at the end. Second, automate it. Have the money taken out of your paycheck before you ever see it. Because if you wait until the end of the month to save what's left over, there will never be anything left over. There's always something to spend money on. Always. The only way to save consistently is to make it automatic and non-negotiable. Third, increase your savings every time you get a raise. When I got a raise, we increased our spending to match. We got a nicer car, ate out more often, bought more stuff. If instead we'd taken even half of every raise and put it into retirement savings, we'd have had hundreds of thousands of dollars by the time I turned 67. Fourth, understand your benefits completely. Don't make assumptions. I assumed my full pension would continue for Betty if something happened to me. I assumed it would continue for me if something happened to her. I was wrong on both counts, and by the time I discovered that, it was too late to change course. Read the fine print. Ask questions. Know exactly what you'll have and under what circumstances. Fifth, Don't sacrifice your own financial security for your kids' wants. I'm not saying don't help your children. I'm saying be honest about the difference between needs and wants. Your kids will survive without elaborate weddings and expensive toys and constant bailouts. You might not survive without retirement savings. Put on your own oxygen mask first. Sixth, assume Social Security won't be enough. It's designed to supplement retirement savings, not replace them. If you're counting on Social Security alone, you're setting yourself up for poverty. I get $1,100 a month from Social Security. That's below the poverty line. It's not enough to live on with any dignity or comfort. Seventh, visualize your future self. I never really imagined what it would be like to be 87. I couldn't picture it. It seemed too far away, too abstract. But let me tell you, 7-year-old me is just as real as 7-year-old me was. He has needs and desires and deserves a decent life. And 7-year-old me failed him. Don't make that mistake. Your future self is depending on the choices you make today. Eighth, don't wait for the perfect time to start. There is no perfect time. There will always be expenses, always be reasons to postpone, always be something else that seems more urgent. Start now. Start with whatever you can afford. Start imperfectly. Just start. Ninth, if you have a spouse or partner, make sure you both understand your financial situation and retirement plans. Betty trusted me to handle the finances, and I let her down. We should have been partners in planning for our future. We should have both understood where we stood. 10th, remember that retirement isn't optional just because you don't prepare for it. Your body will age, your energy will decline, your ability to work will diminish. Retirement will come whether you're ready for it or not. The only question is whether you'll have the financial resources to live with dignity when it does. I know some of you listening to this are young, and retirement seems impossibly far away. I know some of you are middle-aged and feel like you've already missed your chance. And I know some of you are approaching retirement age and are starting to panic. Wherever you are, hear me. It's not too late to make your situation better than it would otherwise be. If you're young, you have the most precious resource: time. Use it. Even small amounts saved now will grow to substantial sums by the time you retire. You have an opportunity I can never get back. If you're middle-aged and haven't started, start today. Yes, you've lost some years. Yes, you'll have to save more aggressively than if you'd started earlier. But every dollar you save now is a dollar you won't have to earn when you're 87. You can still make a significant difference in your retirement security. If you're approaching retirement without enough saved, make hard choices now. Downsize, cut expenses, work a few more years. Find ways to increase your income and decrease your spending. It's not too late to improve your situation, even if it's too late to completely fix it. I stand in this grocery store sometimes, between aisles, and I watch younger workers, and I want to grab them by the shoulders and tell them, save now, start today, don't assume you have time. Don't assume it will work out. Don't make the mistakes I made. But I don't, because I'm just the old guy stocking shelves, and who listens to the old guy stocking shelves? But maybe you will. Maybe you'll hear my story and make a different choice. Maybe you'll go home today and set up an automatic transfer to a retirement account. Maybe you'll increase your 401k contribution. Maybe you'll meet with a financial advisor. Maybe you'll have a serious conversation with your spouse about your financial future. I hope you do. Because I can tell you from hard-won experience, the choices you make today will determine the quality of your life decades from now, and that future arrives faster than you can possibly imagine. I'm 87 years old, and I'm tired. I'm tired in my bones, in my soul, and I have no idea when or if I'll ever be able to stop working. Maybe I'll work until I physically can't anymore. Maybe I'll die on my feet, stocking shelves. I don't know. What I do know is that this didn't have to be my story, and it doesn't have to be yours. Now, I want you to do something specific. Today, not tomorrow, not next week, today. If you don't have a retirement account, open one. If you have one but aren't contributing, start. If you're contributing, increase your contribution by even 1%. Take one concrete action today that your future self will thank you for. Set up an automatic transfer. Make an appointment with a financial advisor. Calculate what you'll need in retirement. Do something. Anything. And if this story affected you, if it made you think, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Share it with your kids, your friends, your co-workers. We don't talk enough about this. We don't warn each other. We all make the same mistakes in silence and then suffer the consequences alone. Don't let that be your story. Take care of your future self. Start now, because I promise you, later never comes. There's only now, and too late. Make sure you choose now.